What's going on, Marvel fans? In today's review, we're going to be going over episode 4 of the Loki series, streaming on Disney+. Now, the first 3 episodes have been really good, but this one was fantastic. But look, before we get into that, I want to make sure that everybody likes, subscribes, and go ahead and tap that notification bell one time for your boy. I just want to make sure that everything I post, you are aware of. Now, without further ado, let's jump into this Loki review. Lokis. This Loki show is really taking things to a new level. Like I said, the first 3 episodes were really good, especially the first 2. The third one was more or less like a filler, giving you a little background story on Sylvie, aka Lady Loki. A lot of people speculated that Loki took a time stone when he was going through that guy's drawer in the first episode. Being that we saw him acknowledge there was a time stone in the drawer, but we didn't see him put it back, led me to believe that he took it and he has it and he's gonna use it. So when they got trapped on that world from last week's episode, I kind of assumed that Loki had this calmness to him because he knew he was gonna get himself out of this situation, maybe by using the time stone, reversing time, fixing his tent pad, but that is what absolutely did not happen. Marvel fans, we come up with so many fan theories that when they actually do something on screen that's very simple, very easy to understand, it throws me through a loop because I'm thinking that it's gonna be more deep than what I thought. I guess Marvel fans have a problem with this fan theory shit. We go way too far with it, you know what I mean? There was nothing about the time stone in this episode. While they're on this planet having this conversation, they both shared this connection, which oddly caused one of the biggest rifts in the sacred timeline. When Mobius noticed that this branch off was something that he hasn't seen, he knew something was up. Once that branch was created in the sacred timeline, they were able to notice it, Mobius and the other agents, and they opened up 2 portal doors and they actually were able to walk through, being arrested and taken to the timekeepers. Mobius actually goes and gets Loki because he's exposed that all of the agents are variants taken from their timeline, and of course Mobius wants to know what the hell is going on. His intuition in this series is very, very important. He's really coming into terms with what this place is about, and even though they paint it like this very beautiful magical place, it's actually pretty sinister and evil. Our Slayer ends up vaporizing Mobius, and this moment in the show had me like, why'd they do that? Like, Mobius was so cool. He was actually growing on me. He was finally coming to his senses and understanding and trusting Loki. But no, he was definitely deleted. What happened was Loki fell in love with himself. And I know that sounds strange, but he really falls in love with the female Loki. And it may not be love or an adult type relationship, but he just loves her. He's got an appreciation for her. And that is what caused this extreme branch off in the sacred timeline. Now, in this episode, Mobius kind of makes fun of Loki for it, and it kind of pushes his buttons. There's literally so many things that go on in this episode, and I'm not gonna go into super details, but if you have not seen any other episode, which I'm sure you have, otherwise you wouldn't be on my episode 4 review of Loki, you might as well step away from this video for now because I'm gonna be talking about things that are gonna change everything in this series. So Sylvie has this power where she's able to enchant people, kind of go into their mind, manipulate their memories, and use them to her advantage. But what seems to be happening to the TVA is that every time she uses one of these people as a host, she jumps in their body and uses them, she unlocks certain memories. And what we learned is every agent in the TVA is actually a variant taken from their timeline, and they've had their memories erased and brainwashed to believe that they were created by the time variants, aka the timekeepers. And now these trio of dudes was actually very exciting to see in this episode, right? Once I saw that our Slayer went up and actually seen them, I was like, oh shit, it's gonna get real. Now, another fan theory that I've been hearing is that Kang the Conqueror is behind this all, being that his character has been casted in the MCU in the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania movie coming up. Now, I know what you're thinking, who's Kang? You're going all over the place. Look, Kang is somebody in the MCU like a Thanos type of villain, someone who is really strong. He actually manipulates time and he is the ruler of time. So it leads me to believe that he is behind this, especially after the fact that we found out that the timekeepers were all androids. Yes, Loki and the female version of himself actually break free and they're able to address the timekeepers themselves. Now, what was going to happen was they were going to be presented to the timekeepers and they were going to be pruned. In this show, when you get pruned, what happens is they have this staff. It has a glowing yellow end on it, and once it touches you, it kind of evaporates your whole body, similar to these time bombs that they have that they put in these branched off timelines, and it erases everything. So from everyone's understanding is once you get evaporated, you're gone. That's it. So they bring them up to the timekeepers, and of course Loki and Sylvie escape, actually beheading one of the timekeepers, finding out, like I said, he's a robot. So this is what leads me to believe that there is a puppet master pulling all the strings, and of course it may be Mephisto, it might be the one who is unnamed, and it absolutely might be Kang the Conqueror. When they cut off the guy's head, they're kind of talking to each other, Loki and Sylvie, and they're trying to figure out, like, who is behind this? Loki has an epiphany, and he really wants to express something to the female Loki. Who knows, maybe he was gonna tell her, yo, I love you, or look, I really care about you. But no, before he's able to speak, he is actually touched with one of those staffs, and he is evaporated. He is disintegrated by none other than the Renslayer, whatever you want to call her. And Sylvie keeps her, and she's gonna use her for her advantage. And I'm sure that she's gonna figure out a way to go get Loki or to find out what happened. I'm telling you, when I saw Loki get evaporated, I was totally in shock, man. I actually screamed out like, no! I couldn't fucking believe it, man. So the episode pretty much ends there. The curtain is pulled from the TVA. The timekeepers are not real. Loki and Mobius have been disintegrated, and Sylvie has Renslayer at her mercy. So it was at this point in this show where I'm like, damn, what can they do now? There's only 6 episodes. We are on number 4. What else could they do? And of course, I stuck around to the post-credit scene, and we actually see Loki waking up in, it looks like some sort of toxic, desolated New York type of world, maybe like a trash realm where everyone who gets pruned by that staff go, okay? So it might be that Mobius and everything and everyone else that gets pruned goes to this land. So when Loki wakes up, he asks like, yo, am I dead? Am I in hell? And someone says, no, not yet. Not unless you get up. He looks, and it's none other than different variations of Loki, man. We had an old Loki, a boastful black guy Loki who looked pretty badass, kid Loki, and an alligator Loki. Everything was as accurate to the comic book costumes that I could see. They depicted old Loki as well as possible to the comic book, and I love to see this band of variants together. I can't wait to see what the hell's going on. I love the way this show was written. It's almost one of the best shows I've ever seen, and I know I said that for the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I can't make this up. The way that they're playing this thing out is so impeccable, amazing, outstanding. I can't think of any more adjectives to describe how awesome it is. The thing about this series is they take things to a new level every time, and it's not in a Fast and the Furious kind of way where it's cheesy and corny. They do it in a fashion that draws you in even more. From what I've read and heard online, Loki season 2 is actually being planned out, and it's in some sort of production stage where they're trying to figure out a lot of things. They're probably writing some extremely well stories to tie into other things, but who knows, man. This phase 4 Marvel series is taking things to a new level. I didn't think I was gonna like a lot of this stuff, especially with the cosmicness and all these different changes in the Marvel universe. We don't have Iron Man anymore. Cap is gone. With all that being said, Loki is one of the characters in the MCU who's really growing on me. I know that he's supposed to be a villain, and in the comic books, he dibbles and dabbles on the good side, but for the most part, he is an antagonist. He is the god of mischief. But from what I'm seeing in this series, Loki is absolutely irreplaceable. But what did you guys think of this episode? Did you hate it? Did you like it? Did you love it? Only way that I'm gonna know is if you jump into my comments, let a dude know. But what did you guys think of this episode? I'm seriously infatuated with this show, and I cannot wait until next week's episode. Of course, we only got 2 left, and I'm really excited. Before we go, I want to send a special thanks to everybody out there that likes, comments, and subscribes. I'm actually really close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and I would not be as close as I am if it wasn't for you all. Please continue to support the channel, and I'm going to continue giving you guys great reviews, all right? But you already know what it is. It's been a pleasure. It's your boy Merc, but I'm out.
But we know that you acting with all of this heat, melt you up like you plastic. Niggas will switch up on you in a moment. Like a stack of hundreds, I'm never folding. Heard they changed on me, I never noticed. Hit her and her friends, once that's a bonus. At the top, but I came from the lowest. Married to the money, yeah, I'm devoted.